It may be on a lousy channel, but The Simpsons are on TV.
Ever since American cartoons and animated shows came out, we've always had openings that combine music with animations to introduce the shows. But for 30 years now, the one that stands out from the rest, the one that people all around the world never seem to forget, is the Simpsons theme. However, it seems like nowadays there's a lot of TV shows that seem to throw together a song and animation that generally sounds like a pretty good opening theme, but sometimes it feels like the music and animation are separate from each other. Oftentimes with the music representing just one part of the show and hiding in the background behind the visuals and sound effects. And because of this, we forget it.
Classy. Studley.
But in the Simpsons theme, the music isn't just a background track for a part of the show. It is the show, and we can see and hear that when we watch the opening. It's gone so ingrained that people actually look forward to watching the opening themes, which almost nobody does for any other TV series. But what makes this theme song such a perfect opening for the show, and why do people watch it? Well, the very first thing the theme does is completely nail down what the Simpsons family is supposed to sound like as a whole. As we know, the Simpsons is a very caring family, but also extremely dysfunctional.
I'm next.
No!
Oh, what the hell?
I did that with love, boy!
The theme does a really good job at representing these two ideas by combining a very light-sounding scale with rough clashing sounds. When we simplify the song down a bit, we can hear that the song is based off of a Lydian scale to keep things generally uplifting, which you can hear in the main melody. And if you were to play it like this, the song would sound pretty normal. But this is The Simpsons and it needs a lot more chaos, which means we need to take out the normal and replace it with these clashing dissonant notes from the other instruments to make it sound more dysfunctional. Now, because chaos and dysfunction is the key to The Simpsons, the theme doesn't just use dissonant notes to show that chaos, it also adds tons of musical variety. This doesn't just make the song sound interesting, but also makes each theme unique and feel like it's unified with the episode it's introducing. In fact, there's not one moment where the song repeats exactly, which is rare in the current musical climate. Outside of also having an extremely fast tempo, we also hear random key changes, thematic changes in instruments, the sax solo, and of course, the ever-changing chalkboard and couch visual gags.
Oakley dokley.
All this variety makes the song sound extremely busy and all over the place, which is perfect for The Simpsons and their crazy interactions with thousands of supporting characters. In fact, this brings me to point 3, which is the fact that the song doesn't just represent The Simpsons' general theme of a dysfunctional family. It gets really specific by also showing all the main characters and their personalities. In other words, each character has their own mini-theme in the opening. We hear these blaring trumpets and trombones playing during Bart and Homer's appearance. These smooth violins when we see Marge. This clever and creative saxophone solo for Lisa. And finally, these gentle glockenspiel melodies that play when Maggie's driving. It's clear right from the beginning what the characters are like just from the music alone. But most other themes don't do this. The most though shows maybe the general idea of the show at best, or distill the song just to the general feeling of what to expect from the main character. And it sorta works, but it doesn't make it hit as well, and people treat it as just another generic theme song. Take another theme in a similar genre, like Family Guy. We hear the general idea of what the show's supposed to feel like, which is funny and uplifting. But we know nothing about the characters. The theme is just kinda bland and replaceable, and we can probably take some other uplifting song and play it over the animation just for it to sound the same as the opening theme. So why do most shows avoid showing their characters in music? Well, it's because it takes a lot more risk.
I'm in danger!
When you watch the Simpsons theme, outside of seeing tons of variety and compositional complexity, the song even matches the music with tiny little actions in the visual animation. It doesn't technically need to do this since it's way harder to achieve this effect than, for example, just by playing a song behind clips of the show's highlights. The Simpsons would rather risk spending way more time on the little things that people won't necessarily catch right away, which could potentially make it a wasted effort.
The whole process that I've just described takes anywhere from 5 to 7 months. From the time we get the script to the time you see it on the air.
But when people actually catch it, it takes the theme to a whole new level of appreciation, which the audience can see. Now, so far all we've seen are elements that have changed a lot in the theme, but there's one very important thing that remains consistent, and it's this little melody right here. It's well known that repetition in music is one of the main reasons why people remember songs. Now, while the melody isn't played exactly the same all the time, the general idea and feeling of the melody still remains. And the fact that the variations of this melody repeat 9 times is really key. Every repetition makes a big difference when it comes to making a mark in the audience, especially after 32 seasons of repetitions.
Happy anniversary, Mom!
Contrast this with any other show's theme, and you'll notice that these themes don't really repeat more than once, or twice, if at all. And if something does repeat, it's usually not a melody, but the chords that stay hidden behind the background. Because there's no iconic melody that repeats, it's harder to remember. But part of the reason The Simpsons can repeat their main melody so often is simple. They have the time.
Cool.
Most themes nowadays go for 30 seconds at most, and part of that is due to length restrictions on TV shows. Because they have less time, there's less room for things to happen in the opening. But in the early days of The Simpsons, the opening actually cut down on the animation necessary for each episode, which means more time for their openings, sometimes lasting for more than a minute. Or even longer, like their Halloween episodes, lasting for more than 2 minutes. With more than double the length of normal themes, this sacrifice on the show's length to pay closer attention to their openings ended up not only being useful to make their themes fit and sound better for the audience, but also helped them fill for shorter episodes that couldn't be aired without the longer themes, or even shortening them to just the couch gags if the episodes are longer. But finally, I think probably the most important aspect of The Simpsons opening theme is the fact that the audience can clearly tell that everyone working on it poured their heart out onto the show to make it the best show possible. You can see this with all the minute attention to details that people barely even get a chance to see. As well as modern cultural references.
Festivities. Clean. Pistol.
And musical changes that are separately unique with every opening theme. People can tell that the show is going to be great from the moment they see the opening.
Maggie! Oi, Maggie!
As audience members, we want to see our favorite shows make great episodes and feel excited about it. But I think a lot of our modern TV show themes don't really prime us to feel anything, except maybe an instinct to automatically skip it. But when a show does manage to capture our attention and to get us wondering what's next, right from the moment we see the opening, well, that's when we continue watching. And that's what makes a perfect theme.